All right, so for this week, we'll be discussing the Philippine Competition Act, no, and later on yung banking laws natin. So Philippine Competition Act will account for two questions, and this will be one of the new topics that will be covered by the board exam. To be fair, no, pag at first glance baka naiisip nyo importante ba talaga no na inaaral itong competition law natin. Okay, but to be honest, no, working in a firm no recently kasi nag-resign na. Okay, pero recently I've seen a trend no na medyo nagiging mas conscious ang mga auditing firms with regards competition laws, lalo-lalo na kapag meron ng mga international counterparts, no, like yung PwC, yung EY, KPMG, and Deloitte. Okay, kasi nagmamatter na dahil lalo-lalo na pagdating sa European countries and in the US, very strict no, when it comes to the competition laws. Okay, kaya yan, Russell, sana makuha ni AI lahat ng mga lahat ng mga i-discuss natin. At any rate, no, yan nga kaya nagkakaroon din ng importance. That's why we have to know at least the basics. Okay, we will be covering what will be included no, in the syllabus for the purposes of the CPA licensure examination. Now, for purposes of our competition laws, it will be the policy of the state no, na magkaroon tayo dito ng efficient market competition. Okay, and oddly enough, no, there is actually no definition for competition that you will find in the Philippine Competition Act. No? But if you look at the guidelines with regards to the review of merger, no, kasi merong tinatawag na Philippine Competition Commission, no, which will be the primary implementing agency, meron silang in-issue na no, diyan nila binigay yung definition ng competition, which is supposedly the process of rivalry between firms no, competing for customers' businesses over time. Ang idea dito no, is that we want everything to be market-driven. No, that not one person, not a group of persons will be driving the market prices. No, na it will be driven lang by supply and demand. No, at hanggat maaari, ang gusto natin dito ay yung demand na part ng ating yung part na demand no, ng ating mga customers or clients, yan ang mag-drive no, ng ating mga market prices. Na supposedly, okay, the idea that we want here is that there are choices no, that the customers or the clients will have. No, that will be based on quality and prices. Okay, ang magiging consideration, hindi dahil binibili nila yung produkto no, or ina-avail nila ang mga serbisyo dahil lang walang choice. No, kaya sinasabi na yung competition should be a mechanism for allocating goods and services. Okay, and it will be considered a generally accepted precept. Now, supposedly, there have already been laws instituted, no? There have been provisions. Okay, kaya meron ka mga unfair competition law, no? Meron tayong unfair competition in our in the revised penal code, meron tayong mga infringements, no, that will be placed also in our intellectual property law. Okay, na supposedly are already there to reinforce or to magkaroon ng mga competition nga, no, or to make sure that competition is thriving, okay, when it comes to the relevant market. But there was a need to codify, no, na magkaroon ng isang batas that will govern competition nga between competing entities. Okay, supposedly, ang goal pa rin natin nga dito ay magkakaroon ng efficiency na in our markets. Kaya it will encourage investment, magkakaroon ng mga technology transfers and development. Kaya ultimately, ang magiging goal pa rin natin dito ay yung mga consumer or yung customers ang makikinabang. No? Kaya sinasabi pa lang sa policy natin na supposedly it will serve the interests of the consumers. No? Considering nga na ultimately we want the people no, or the general market to benefit from our competition laws that will facilitate competition in the market. So ito supposedly yung mga magiging goals natin no, for national economy that you will also find it somewhere in the Constitution. But in order to attain those, no, supposedly magkakaroon nga ang gobyerno natin ng mga projects or policies to para mawala ang restraints sa trade or unfair competition. Ultimately, we don't want any unfair competition. Ayaw din natin ng monopoly or ayaw din natin na magkakaroon ng group of people who will be handling the market or driving the prices na hindi supply and demand lang no ang nagdi-dictate ng prices natin sa market. Kaya supposedly what the government would focus on will be on free and fair competition now based on an established national competition policy. Okay? It will prevent economic concentration kaya nga ang goal din natin ay walang nagiging monopoly no at as we will be discussing later on ayaw din natin nagkakaroon dito ng abuse of dominant position no because again now supposedly the people will benefit more with regards that of a free market na nagkakaroon nga ng fair competition. And in line with that, no, makikita mo na rin kagad sa Declaration of Policy yung tatlong magiging prohibited acts natin, which later on will become 4. No? Pero tatlo, ang primarily that we will be discussing, na meron tayong mga anti-competitive agreements, this abuse of dominant position at meron yung prohibited mergers, no? O yung mga tinatawag din na anti-competitive mergers. Okay? Kaya nagpo-provide dito ng certain penalties, although as we will discuss later on, the penalties are normally administrative in character, except lang sa anti-competition or anti-competitive agreements. No? Yun lang yung pwede na magkaroon ng criminal liability. Okay? Otherwise, now the penalties are administrative in nature. Now, the scope of application will not be limited only to the markets that are in the Philippines, in the sense na kailangan pang nandito yung tao, no, or kailangan nandito yung entity, kailangan nandito in-enter ang transaction, hindi yan nagmamatter. No, as long as it will have a direct effect, okay, with or substantial effect for that matter with regards to competition or that of the trader industry in the Philippines, no, kahit pa walang element dyan na nasa Pilipinas, magiging covered pa rin yan ng ating Philippine Competition Act. To be fair, the Philippine Competition Act was primarily copied, no, from European competition laws, no, kaya nga dahil wala pa tayo masyadong jurisprudence dito, no, yung mga magiging examples natin kadalasan will be those that will be coming from what you call this, from situations, no, or cases that have been decided in the US and in Europe, no, kasi ganyan nga dyan natin pinattern if not copied, no, ang ating Philippine Competition Act. Kaya for example, no, ito, there was one case decided by the European Competition Commission na supposedly there's Intel, okay, which is a US company, no, and meron ditong Lenovo. Okay, that is a Chinese company naman. Now, they entered into an agreement na supposedly yung agreement nila lahat ng laptop na or notebooks were the specific terms na ginamit dito sa kaso na ito na ginagawa ni Lenovo or yung ipoproduce niya ay dapat Intel chips lang na ang ginagamit. Kaya hindi gumagamit ng ibang chips na that will be utilized for the reproduction or the manufacture, okay, ng notebooks that will be produced by Lenovo. Now, supposedly, they're in Europe. Okay, there is also a company that produces chip. Now, let's say ABC company. Okay, ay gumagawa din siya ng mga computer chips. Okay, gumagawa din. Now, ito, supposedly, there is nothing in the agreement, no, not one element of the agreement mentions the European continent. Okay, because the parties is a US company and a Chinese company. The production will be in China, no, pero nothing in there, no, will be part of Europe. Yun nga lang, nung nagkaso dito yung ABC company that is in Europe that produces also computer chips, pinayagan niya ng European Commission, no, that will be covered by the competition laws ng Europe. Bakit? No, dahil yung magiging available na laptops in the European market will that will be coming from Lenovo will only have the chips, no, that are Intel made. Okay, kaya ang idea tuloy dito, kahit walang portion ng agreement na yan na nasa loob ng European continent, territory speaking, no, or from a territory perspective, nothing in the agreement is within the territory of the European Union, kaya kinover pa rin ng competition law nila, no, dahil nga magkakaroon pa rin yan ng substantial effect, okay, with regards or the substantial, what you call this, effect, yes, with regards the trader industry in Europe. So ganyan din ang magiging application natin from a Philippine perspective, no, because of this provision under the Philippine Competition Act, na kahit walang party to the agreement, walang portion ng agreement, no, that mentions the Philippine territory, may application pa rin yung Philippine Competition Act, no, if it will have a direct, substantial, or reasonable effect with regards to the Philippine market, okay, the trade, commerce, or industry in the Philippines. Kaya tinatawag na ang Philippine Competition Act natin ay nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na extraterritorial application, no, hindi lang nililimit yan to Philippine territory, unlike the common laws, no, na meron tayo na dapat within Philippine territory ang application natin. Yun nga lang, no, in the application provision in the Philippine Competition Act, supposedly ay hindi pa rin kasali dito if the purpose of our agreement will be solely to facilitate collective bargaining lang. Na, a good example there ay yung tinatawag natin na union security clause. Okay, ayan, union security clause. Ano ba yan? As you may know, ang union ay grupo ng mga manggagawa. Na it's an organization made by or created, no, and members niyan ay puro mga employees ng isang employer. Now supposedly, kaya hindi ito yung union natin sa cooperative, no, union na to in the usual context that we know it, na kaya ang joke dati talaga kadalasan pag pumupunta ng La Union sinasabi, oh, saan dito merong walang mga manggagawang nag-organize, no, kasi nga La Union daw ang pangalan. Okay, supposedly, no, the purpose of the union security clause is that it becomes a prerequisite for employment na dapat member ka ng union, and it becomes a requirement also for the retention of your employment na dapat para tuloy-tuloy lang na empleyado ka ay member ka dapat ng union. No, kaya ang idea tuloy dyan, walang choice, no, ang mga empleyado but to join the union because it is a requirement for their continued employment. No? Pero ang sabi dito, hindi yan kino-cover ng Philippine Competition Act. Kahit supposedly walang nagiging competition between unions, no, dahil nga the purpose supposedly is solely to facilitate collective bargaining. No? Kaya walang applicability ang Philippine Competition Act sa ating union security clause. Okay? Now, there are 3 prohibited acts that we will be discussing nga. No? But before we proceed to that, ay kailangan maintindihan muna natin kung ano ba yung tinatawag nating relevant market. No? Kasi yung relevant market magiging importante dito sa 3 prohibited acts na i-discuss natin na ito. No? Pero at the outset, para lang din may idea na kayo, at least 2 parties will be required here, no, sa anti-competitive agreements and sa prohibited mergers. No? Kasi dahil agreements ang pinag-uusapan pag-uusapan sa anti-competitive agreement, necessarily dapat at least two parties ang involved dyan. Pag prohibited mergers naman, no, dahil nga merger or acquisition na pinag-uusapan dito, at least two parties din ang kasali dyan. No? Hindi katulad pag abuse of dominant position, isa lang. Okay? Kasi mamaya, pag binasa natin yung mga provisions or yan, may mga portion talaga na kailangan babasahin yun, no, ay meron talagang mga commonalities. No? Makikita na parang nasa anti-competitive agreement din ito. Bakit nasa abuse of dominant position na? Ang pinagkaiba nga ay yung dami ng parties involved. No? Kasi sa anti-competitive agreement, at least two competitors will be entering the agreement. Sa abuse of dominant position, isa lang siya. No? Na meron ng dominant position at kanyang inabuso. No? Kaya literal din yung mga title na meron tayo dito. Okay? But again, before we go into details with regards to prohibited acts, we have to understand what constitutes the relevant market. Now, according to the Philippine Competition Act, there will be two portions of the relevant market na tinatawag nating geographic at yung ating product market. Now, when it comes to the product market, the idea here is interchangeable ang mga goods and services na meron tayo at ang nagiging consideration ng mga customer or clients in availing or choosing which goods or services to avail of will be only the characteristics, the prices, and the intended use. Now, kaya ang idea dito from a demand perspective ay pwedeng magbago ng choice ang mga customers natin dahil may ibang available sa market na yan with regards the same product that they intend to purchase or avail of. Okay? Pero pag geographic market ang pinag-uusapan, essentially homogeneous ang term na ginagamit dito. Okay? With regards to products and services that are being available, walang significant differences. Now, with regards to products and services that are being offered, kaya free ang ating mga customer or ang ating mga kliyente na bumili lang kahit sa kanino mga supplier. Now, a good example there siguro will be that of Negros. Kasi sa Negros, maraming mga asukarera. Pare-pareho lang naman ang tinda. Ang puting asukal ni Company A ay ganun din ang quality ng puting asukal ni Company B, yung Mascovado ni Company A, yung di kay Company B. Kaya essentially homogeneous sa mga produkto. Ang isipin mo lang dito, kung kunwari ikaw ay nasa supermarket, bibili ka ng asukal, talaga bang tinitignan mo pa yung brand ng asukal bago mo ito bilhin? No, hindi na. Kasi essentially homogeneous ang treatment natin sa mga produkto. No? I've never actually encountered that na ako, nag-grocery ako for the longest time na ako talaga nag-grocery para sa bahay. Okay? I never. Well, hindi na ako bumibili ng asukal ngayon, pero hindi ko ma-imagine na talagang curious ka pa sa brand. Most probably, na pag tinitingnan mo yan, pag bibili ka ng asukal or ng bigas for that matter, hindi brand na tinitingnan mo ba't yung presyo o yung uri. Okay? Pero kaya yan yung nagiging example nga natin na essentially homogeneous within one geographical area. So in Negros, dahil puro asukarera, ang mga meron dyan, yung mga sugar plantation, sugar milling, pare-pareho sila ng negosyo, yan yung magiging example ng relevant geographic market na meron tayo. Kung saan nga pwedeng palipat-lipat lang mga customer na essentially ay walang significant difference sa goods and services that are being supplied in that particular market. Kaya nga sabi nila, pag ikaw ay tinatamad na at napapagod ka ng mag-aral, at feeling mo parang wala namang patutunguhan, kung magiging CPA ka, wala namang pera, maghanap ka ng taga Negros, para makakahanap ka ng azucarera de papa, or azucarera de mama. Yan ang tawag sa mga sugar daddy, sugar mommy. Di ba, sumaprepare ng kaya last week hindi ako nakapasok sa face-to-face class. Nag-absent talaga kasi sobrang sama pa rin ang pakiramdam ko until now. Anyway, so that will be the definition of the relevant market kasi kakailanganin nga yan dahil lahat ng mga prohibited acts that we will be discussing must be pertaining to the relevant market. Okay? It's always pertaining to the relevant market. So, unahin natin dito yung first prohibited act natin that will be the anti-competitive agreement. Okay? In anti-competitive agreements, again, there will be two or more parties involved which must be competitors na magkalaban in the market. Itong dalawang nag-enter nitong agreement na ito. Take note, however, that when we talk about agreements, kaya yan ang term na ginamit dito, this is not necessarily equivalent to a contract. Okay? It's not necessarily equivalent na dapat merong document. Okay, or instrument that was executed between the two of them. Now, in fact, kahit supposedly oral lang yung agreement dyan, or nagkaroon lang ng parang side-eye lang, tinginan lang, kidatan lang, it can still be considered an anti-competitive agreement kapag yan ay ginagawa together ng mga competitors natin. Hindi kailangan dito na formal contract, kaya agreement ang term na ginamit to make it broader, ang scope na naging anti-competitive agreement natin. Kasi ang naging diskarte dito, like for example in the case of GE, meron dating may case sa US kasi wala talaga tayo I've never encountered yet, no? At least I'm not aware of, pero baka meron naman na jurisprudence related to competition laws, okay? But not in the Philippine Competition Act specifically, no? Kaya in the seminars that I have attended, kaya medyo sumamala din yung loob ko ng slide, no? Pero okay naman ako. Kasi sinasabihan ako, nagbabasa lang daw ako ng PowerPoint. Talagang hindi kaya gusto ko talaga, sabi ko kaya, gawin ko kaya yung klase ko today, no? Sa Tuesday class natin nga ng RFBT, gawin ko lahat ng slides natin blanco lang. Kasi nakakahiya naman yung pagbibintangan ako nagbabasa. Now, I attend seminars sa SSS law, sa labor law, insurance law. Ang dami ko mga inattend na seminars for our new topics para lang ma-discuss ko, no, very detailed and para nga ma-discuss natin ng malinaw, no, at maintindihan, no. Yan ang goal nga natin with regards to the laws. Tapos sasabihin lang ako nagbabasa. Yeah. Anyway, so dito supposedly yung case ng GE in the US, no, there was a government project that will be for the construction of a particular plant, no, planta. Okay, there were 3 phases that will be undertaken with regards to construction of the plant. Now, tapos yan, yung mga competitors na magbibid, no, dapat doon sa project na ito ay nagkaroon ng side agreement, no? Walang formal agreement, pero meron sila mga supposedly may mga tawag ito, code names, no, na ginamit. Yan, it was proven also. May mga code names silang ginagamit, may mga secret meetings that were conducted where supposedly they agreed already sino mananalo sa phase 1, sino mananalo sa phase 2, sino mananalo sa phase 3, no, ng kanilang ng mga projects, no. Kaya in that case, naging anti-competitive agreement pa rin siya kahit walang formal instrument or document that was adopted, no. Kaya nga kasi ang nagiging estilo nga ng iba, no, ay hindi lang nagkakaroon ng in writing na agreement pero ganun din ang nagiging effect, no, dahil napag-usapan na yung iba nga nagko-code name na hindi magiging valid defense, no, when you are sued, okay, for violating the anti-competitive agreements. Nevertheless, tatlo, no, ang klase ng anti-competitive agreements natin. Una ay yung mga tinatawag nating per se prohibited. Okay, as the name would suggest, by default, no, ay considered na kagad prohibited ito at yan ay dalawa. Okay, etong dalawang ito, otherwise in practice, kaya sa totoo lang, hindi masyadong mag-grasp, no, yung concept ng Philippine Competition Act because to be fair, it's an entirely separate practice by itself. No, pag ikaw ay naging abogado, kasi nagiging part ito ng tinatawag na contracts review, no, ng mga engagement. At any rate, no, in practice, ang tawag dyan sa first type natin ay tinatawag na price fixing. Okay, price fixing, ang technical term na ginagamit dito. Na ang idea dito supposedly is that the prices of the goods and services in the market are no longer driven by the market itself. Na dahil yung mga competitors natin nag-agree, no, na meron dapat uniform price lang, na meron silang naging price ceiling, okay? Meron cap on the price, meron silang naging agreement on how to compute the price, no, or an agreed formula, okay? That will be considered anti-competitive na, no, kasi nga supposedly supply and demand lang ang nagdi-dictate ng prices, no. At dito, no, yan yung iingatan nyo pag nasa auditing firm. Kasi kung mga magkakaibigan kayo, napunta kayo sa magkakaibang firms, no, tapos napag-uusapan, uy, nagbid din pala kayo sa engagement na ito, no, magkano ang pinresyo nyo, sa amin ganito, sa amin ganito, sige, i-adjust namin, no, kasi ganyan pala ang price na nag-agreean nyo, nagiging price fixing na yan, which will be anti-competitive agreement. Okay? Although, syempre, as new associates, wala naman kayong magiging influence with regards to that, no. Pero pag in-inform nyo, kasi yung manager sabihin, oy, nagbid po, no, kunwari kayo, na taga firm A kayo, o gawin natin color, kunwari taga red firm ka, no, sabi mo doon sa kaibigan mo taga orange firm, sabi mo sa kanya, uy, ganito yung presyo namin. So, si orange firm naman na associate, sabi niya sa manager niya, uy, eto daw po yung price ni red firm. Baka pwede adjust natin, no? Kasi kung presyo-presyuhan lang din ang i-consider ng kliyente, baka mamaya doon na siya pumunta, di mawawalan tayo ng engagement. No, although walang ganyan din associates na bida-bida. No, hangga't maaari, ayaw ng mga associates na merong maraming engagement kasi pareho lang naman ang sweldo mo. Marami man ang engagement or wala. No, wala naman yung bida-bida talaga na ako maghahanap ng engagement para sa firm na ito, walang ganun. No, pero at any rate, that can be an example, no, ng anti-competitive agreement kasi nga hindi na market driven. No, yung mga prices na meron tayo, but any component of the price or the price itself will be agreed upon by the parties. So for example, ito, para mas palpable ang example natin, kunwari si Shell, si Petron, si Caltex. Yan ang tatlong mga pinakamalalaking oil companies na nag-agree sila na magpresyuhan lang tayo hanggang 60 pesos lang ang presyo natin ng gasolina, no? Or dapat minimum price natin ay 50 pesos. Anti-competitive agreement na. No? Kasi hindi na supply and demand ang nagdi-dictate ng presyo with regards to the relevant market. Yung pangalawa, okay, na per se prohibited ay yung tinatawag nating bid rigging. Ayan. Okay, yan din ang technical term na ginagamit, no? So dito nagkakaroon ng mga cover bidding na supposedly nagbid pero wala namang intention na manalo, no? Nag-tender lang ng bid pero wala naman talagang hindi naman talaga responsive, no, or walang chance, no, na manalo. May bid suppression na supposedly nagkakaroon ng agreement yung mga competitors natin na yung isa magwi-withdraw na, wag ka nang sumali, no, kaya or nag-submit na ng bid pero ipapa-withdraw, or nag-agree na wag nang sumali at all, no, that will be bid suppression, or nagkakaroon ng bid rotation. Okay, kung saan nga yan yung may phases, yung example din natin, no, nagkaroon ng phases na phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, si A, B, C, sabi o si A muna sa phase 1, si B sa phase 2, si C sa phase 3, kasi ang idea nawawala yung concept natin ng competition when it comes to the bidding, no? Na supposedly nga secret. Kaya ang mga information with regards to your bid, no, tulad sa Government Procurement Act na supposedly nga ay opening of bids natin ay simultaneous, no, na hindi pwedeng paunti-unti ang pagbubukas natin ng mga bid, may specific date. Kaya kung kailan nagkakaroon ng opening of bids, again, to facilitate competition, no, that will be healthy supposedly in obtaining the goods and services on the part of the customer or the client. Okay? Now, or market allocation. Although itong market allocation, makikita rin natin yan sa pangalawa, na anti-competitive agreements. Okay? But with regards bidding, ganun din na nagiging agreement specific lang to bidding. Na supposedly, pag nagpabid ang gobyerno ng ganitong project, ako lang dapat, hindi kayo kasali. Pag ganito ang project, ikaw ang magbibid. No, kaya walang nagiging competition between the parties that will be involved kasi napag-agrihan na nila, no, kung ano yung magiging projects that will be particular to one company and one company with regards the other projects. No? Again, in both cases of price fixing and bid rigging, nawawala yung competition, which again, what we are trying, no, not to preserve, okay, with the Philippine Competition Act. Okay? Pangalawa, no, ito naman, hindi per se. No? Nagiging prohibited lang if the object, okay, yan mismo ang purpose why you entered into the agreement, or kahit hindi yan ang purpose ng agreement niyo pero yung nagiging effect, okay, ay to prevent, restrict, or lessen competition. Yan, tatlong yan, yung prevent and restricting, lessening competition, lagi natin yan makikita. No, kahit mamaya sa abuse of dominant position, kahit doon sa ating anti-competitive mergers, no, or prohibited mergers, ganun din ang concept. Kasi nga, what we are trying to preserve, no, and make flourish will be the competition in the relevant market. No, kaya pag nawawala kaya ang competition in the market, yan yung nagiging anti-competitive na. No, dito dalawa din, no, ang kino-cover natin. Una, kaya ayun tinatawag din na sa practice na output limitation. Okay? Kasi supposedly dito, supply, no, ang naapektuhan kung saan hindi nilalabas, no, ng ating mga competitors yung supply na meron sila, no, because they want to drive the prices up. Given kasi that demand will be steady, okay, but the supply will lower, no, from a macroeconomic perspective, ang nagiging effect din yan will be to drive the prices up. Now, which again is no longer driven by the market na lang dahil ang nagiging dahilan kung bakit tumataas ang presyo ay dahil kulang, okay, ang supply sa market. Pero ito, hindi lang siya literal kasi na supply sa market. No? It can be from a technical perspective na walang nagiging improvement. Okay? Kaya sinasabi na kahit technical development ay kino-cover natin dito na nagkakaroon ng limitation or restriction. Na dahil ang nangyayari din dyan, ultimately ay hindi nakikinabang ang market in general. Okay? Na pangalawa ay ito nga yung tinatawag na market allocation pero broader na. No? Dahil hindi restricted lang to bidding. Okay? Pero ganun din ang idea dito na nawawala or nababawasan ng choices, no, ng mga customers or clients natin dahil hinati-hati na natin, okay, ang either ang territory, no, yung mga products or services, the types of goods or services that we are being made available na limitahan na. No, kasi kunwari, meron kang tatlong competitors or ito na lang, no, para hypothetical lang pero mas palpable, no, at maintindihan natin. Kunwari nga si Petron, Caltex at Shell, na mga pinakamalalaking oil companies yan sa Pilipinas. Kung nag-agree sila, sabi ni Petron, ako lang ang magbibenta dito sa Luzon. Na si Shell lang ang magbibenta sa Visayas. Si Caltex lang ang magbibenta sa Mindanao. No, that's market allocation. Now, bakit nagiging anti-competitive? No? Or ano nagiging negative impact? Kasi yung mga taga Luzon, hindi na sila makabili ng Shell or Caltex kasi puro Petron lang ang meron. No? Sa Visayas, hindi na makabili supposedly ng Caltex or ng Petron kasi puro Caltex or puro Shell na lang ang available. No? Kaya, again, nalilesen ng competition or nawawala for that matter ng competition, which ang nagiging tendency ay hindi na nakokontrol ng market yung paggalaw ng presyo. No? Dahil nga limited ang choices on the part of our customers or clients. Ultimately din, no, it may also, ang goal din natin kasi kung bakit nagkakaroon ng competition will be for continuous improvement. No? Because the goal here supposedly is for the customers or the clients to get the best possible product at the lowest possible price. No? Which will only be possible if there is competition in the market. Kasi nga kung ikaw ay wala kang kalaban, nagiging kampante. No? Kaya ibebenta ko lang ng ganyang presyo, bumili ka or hindi, wala akong pakialam. No? Ganun na nagiging idea. Kaya now we are trying to preserve competition and make it flourish ultimately to benefit the customers or the clients. Kaya when their choices prices are being limited now by virtue of market allocation. In that case, ay nagiging anti-competitive agreement na. Okay? Although as we will discuss in a while, no, itong dalawang ito, makikita rin mamaya sa abuse of dominant position. Ang pinagkaiba nga lang, pag abuse of dominant position na, mag-isa na lang siyang gumagawa niyan. No, hindi na yung agreement pa between competitors. Okay? And the last type of anti-competitive agreement, so yung per se, okay, yung pangalawa nga ito, yung may object or effect, that will be to prevent, restrict, or lessen competition. Yung pangatlo yung medyo catch-all na. No? Kahit hindi siya pumasok doon sa ating first or second category, basta ang object or effect pa rin niya. Yun pa nga rin yung tatlo. No? Restrict, prevent, or lessen competition. Okay? Magiging anti-competitive agreement pa rin. Okay? Yung agreement between the competitors. No? Nevertheless, hindi naman lahat ng pinapasok na agreement ay nagiging anti-competitive. No? Kasi dito, sinasabi ng batas na hindi violation ng Philippine Competition Act kung ultimately ay makikinabang pa rin ang market, no? Or ang ating mga customers kasi magkakaroon ng improvement in the distribution or the production of the goods, nagkakaroon ng promotion with regards technical or economic progress, and yun nga, magkakaroon dito ng fair share of the benefits ng ating market. Now, in that case, papayagan na yan. No? Kahit sa mukha niya ay parang mukhang anti-competitive agreement kasi competitors ito, kung makikinabang ultimately pa rin ng customers or clients natin dyan, papayagan na yan. Now, in one seminar I attended, a very good example that they provided there would be between two pharmaceutical companies. Okay, kunwari pharma companies na ayan, ang involved dito si A at si B. Na nagkaroon sila dito ng agreement with regards a joint R&D. Na so joint research and development agreement na ang kanilang pinasok. Na it may seem na dahil competitors sila na pwede maging anti-competitive yan kung pagsasamahin nila ang kanilang R&D efforts, pero kung dahil diyan ay magkakaroon tayo ng mga bagong gamot. Okay, new medicine or lower prices. Okay, with regards to the current medicine na meron, no, makikinabang naman ang market, hindi na siya anti-competitive. No, kaya the concept of what will be considered anti-competitive agreement from a subjective or from a case-type problem that you will encounter in the board exam can be subjective in character. No, dahil kung makikinabang din naman ang market ultimately, no, ay pwede pa rin payagan yan. And it will be the Philippine Competition Commission, no, that will have jurisdiction on determining whether it will be anti-competitive or not, no, bago pa ito magkaroon ng kaso sa korte. Okay, at any rate, kaya ay hindi nga lagi, no, kaya ito nilalagay talaga natin yung wordings ng Philippine Competition Act sa ating mga slides at sa inyong mga handout kasi nga ang nagiging tendency na when it is asked in the board exam ay nagiging word per word yan, verbatim. No? Kaya para may sense of familiarity kayo, lalo-lalo na kapag ganito mga new laws, no, that we are covering in the board exam. No? Kaya hindi, for me, no, personally, I don't think a mind map will work, no, when it comes to the new laws per se. Nagbibigay tayo ng mga examples, nagbibigay tayo ng mga flowcharts, no, or yung mga summaries, no, that you can refer to understand the concept in the event, no, na pwede magkaroon ng case type questions, no, but more often than not objective nga ang type ng questions dito kaya nagiging copy paste. So para may sense of familiarity kayo, we put there na the actual provisions in the law, kaya in your handout and in the slides that we are discussing. No, kaya iniintindi pa rin natin, no, pero hindi pa rin masama kapag nakikita mo nga yung mismong provision itself. Okay? Now, supposedly also hindi nagiging competitors or hindi na anti-competitive agreement if it will be between affiliates. No, affiliates, parent subsidiary, no, or supposedly pareho kayong subsidiary ng iisang parent, no. Kaya kung ito, na supposedly are under a common control, na merong common economic interest, or otherwise nagkakaroon kayo ng CONSO-FS for that matter, hindi na yan competitors. No? Kaya kung kunwari si San Miguel, no, conglomerate. Si San Miguel, merong Pure Foods, merong Petron, may San Miguel Brewery, no, may properties. Okay? Maraming mga subsidiaries. Kung sila-sila, kaya ang mag-enter into an agreement with each other, hindi yan nagiging anti-competitive. No, kasi nga, hindi naman sila competitors. And again, in order to be an anti-competitive agreement, the agreement must be, no, between competitors in order to constitute the first prohibited act, okay, of anti-competitive agreements. Now, pangalawa, nga ay yung abuse of dominant position nga. Okay, in abuse of dominant position, you have a dominant position. Okay, kasi di ba, paano mo naman aabusuhin kung wala kang dominant position to begin with? Now, and dito, ang idea lang ng dominant position, para lang mas madali natin maintindihan, no, ay wapakels. Okay, sa totoo lang, yan at yan lang magiging reckoning mo, no, kung what will be considered as dominant position. Okay, wapakels ka. No, bakit? Kasi supposedly hindi ka apektado kahit magsama-sama pa yung apat na yan. No, yung competitors, customers, suppliers, or consumers natin, whether they will be working together or by themselves, you will not be significantly affected by any of their acts. No, ganun nga ang idea ng dominant position. So, paano yan nag-work? Kunwari, no, may competitor ka, nagbenta siya at a lower price. Sabi mo, ay naku, mas mababa ang presyo niya. Wala naman akong pakialam. No, kasi pareho pa rin, bibilhin pa rin ng mga customers yung produkto ko. No, kahit babaan niya ang presyo niya. No? Or kung kunwari may supplier ka na nagmamaasim, sabi niya, oh, ayoko nang ibenta sa'yo to or ayaw na kitang supplyan kung hindi mo bibili at this particular level of price, sasabihin mo na, wala akong pakialam. No? Ibenta mo na lang sa iba kasi meron naman ako ibang suppliers, hindi naman ako maaapektuhan. No? Or kung meron ka mga customer sabi, hindi na ako bibili sa'yo, no? Dahil hindi na tayo bate, no? Wala akong pakialam kasi may ibang customers naman. Kaya from an economic position, again, you will not be affected by any of the acts that will be performed by any of the other market players. No? Kaya ang idea nga dito, nagkakaroon ka ng dominant position kasi stable na unaffected. Okay? Supposedly, kaya nga ang term na lang na ginagamit natin for easier recall ay WAPACLs na ang magiging dominant position natin. Take note, however, na that having a dominant position per se is not prohibited. Na hindi naman bawal kasi kung talagang magaling ka lang, maganda ang produkto mo, mura, no, kaya ina-avail yan ng mga tao, walang problema yan. No, lalo na if it is a result dahil magaling ka talaga magnegosyo, maganda ang produkto mo. No, hindi naman yan pinagbabawal. Ang pinagbabawal nga natin dito ay pag inabuso. Okay? At paano natin sabihin na merong abuse of dominant position kung sakasakali that it will, again, ito yung tatlo, no? Preventing, restricting, or lessening competition. Okay, kapag yan na ang nagiging effect, no, ng magiging actions ng ating entity with the dominant position, it will be considered prohibited na. Although, may mga enumeration din na binigay dito ang batas, no, that we will be discussing one by one. Gusto ko yung habang kaklase ako, sumising ito. Humisigot talaga ako. Na, at any rate, okay, ang unang example dito, according to the law, is kung sakali you will be able to sell your products or services below cost. Pero take note kasi, ang nagiging purpose kung bakit mo binibenta ng palugi, no? Kasi binenta mo ng mas mababa sa puhunan is in order to drive the competition out of the market. Okay, yan dapat ang nagiging purpose, no, kung bakit binibenta below cost, no, in which case if that will be the purpose, it will be considered abuse of dominant position na, no, kasi ang idea nga dyan, kahit ibenta mo yan ng palugi, hindi ka naman magiging significantly affected, no, kaya mong tiisin, no, na maging lugi muna ang benta hanggang sa mawala lang yung iyong kalaban dahil logically kapag bumaba ang presyo ng produkto na meron ka with the same quality that you are providing it before in the market, the natural tendency for the customers or the consumers will be to buy your product, no, kaya kung mawawala yung mga customers ng kalaban mo, edi mawawalan siya ng benta, no? And eventually nga pwede siyang umalis na lang sa market. Okay? Pero hindi pa rin magiging anti-competitive agreement number one kung sakaling it's not the object. Okay, kung bakit mo ganyan pinresyo, hindi naman yun pala ang nagiging purpose to drive out the competition. And pangalawa, no, ay supposedly kung yan ay reaction lang. Okay, kasi in good faith, kaya mo binabaan ang presyo mo even below cost ay dahil it's a response, no, to what your competitors have already been doing. No, dahil binenta na nila ng mas mababang presyo, wala kang magawa kung hindi ibenta rin ng mas mababa kahit pataglugi ka, na in that case, hindi na yan magiging abuse of dominant position. Okay? Na pangalawa, no, na nagiging abuse of dominant position ay yung may tinatawag tayong barriers to entry. Okay? The idea here, no, is dalawang concept. Supposedly, either it makes it hard to enter, okay, the relevant market. So yung mga bagong kumpanya ay hindi makapasok sa market na yan. No, or pangalawa, yung mga nandun na ay hindi naman they are restricted from growing. Okay, yan ang nagiging effect, no, nitong ating mga barriers to entry na ito. Take note, however, na hindi lahat kasi ng barriers to entry, no, ay nanggagaling din sa mga entities. No, yan yung sinasabi ko na pwedeng may barrier to entry that can be structural in character. No, dahil mahal ang startup, no, mahal talaga yung startup cost na kakailanganin mo. May government regulations, no, na kailangan talagang ma-comply, okay, or mga requirements ng gobyerno bago ka makapasok, or a certain level of economies of scale, no, kung bakit nagagawa mo ibenta yan at a lower price. Okay, in that case hindi yan nagiging abuse of dominant position kasi hindi naman talaga galing lang sa'yo, no, na hindi mo yan sinadya, kasi ang idea pa rin dito ay dapat parang may bad faith ang datingan, no, na kaya mo ginagawa yan, no, ay parang nga to abuse your dominant position. Okay, pero kung kunwari, no, siguro at the most kasi wala nga tayong jurisprudence dito, no, pwede ka dito mag-predatory pricing, tulad nga ng pagbebenta mo, no, kasi yung letter A natin, sabi natin, kapag may competitor ka na, and the purpose will be to drive the competition out. No, dito naman sa barriers to entry, dahil narinig mo, kung na rin na magsisimula itong kumpanyang ito, magbibenta rin ng produkto na binibenta mo, binabaan mo ngayon ng presyo. Eh di sila, madi-discourage na, no, to enter the market because they will not be able to meet the same price that you are offering your goods and services. Or nagkakaroon ng mga tinatawag na promos that will have a foreclosure effect. Okay, ito yung mga technical terms in practice, no, na ginagamit na. Yung foreclosure effect, kumbaga. Na anong ibig sabihin na nagkakaroon ng foreclosure effect? Na hindi makalipat. Okay, ang mga current customers or clients mo, no, dahil may promo ka na dapat dito ka lang bibili for 2 years, no, dapat naka-lock in ka, na ganyan kadalasan, pero yon hindi na nag-a-apply kasi baka ang nai-imagine nyo dito yung mga postpaid plan, no, kasi may mga lock-in period, pero hindi yan nako-cover dito considering kasi that it's common, okay, to all the competitors within the same relevant market. No? Pero ang idea dyan, sa foreclosure effect is because of the promo, hindi ka basta, sa customer or a client, hindi ka basta-basta makalipat. No? Kaya kahit may bagong kumpanya no, napapasok, hindi ka tuloy makalipat din doon. No? Yung mga foreclosure effects na yan can be considered anti-competitive in character. Okay? Now, pangatlo na nagiging abuse of dominant position ay kapag meron dito tinatawag na mga tied-up transactions. Okay, tied up transactions. Bakit tied up? No, supposedly kasi dito, a customer or a client would like to avail of your products or services, tapos nagiging prerequisite mo sa kanya na bago mo siya bentahan ng produkto or ng serbisyo ay may kailangan muna siyang gawin para sa iyo. Okay, may nagiging tied up service or tied up transaction that is not directly related dun sa product or service na kanyang ina-avail. In one seminar I attended, ang naging example niya dito ganito. Kunwari ito si seller, no, na meron ng dominant position. Okay, si buyer, supposedly nagbebenta lang ng oil. Okay, etong si S na ini-import pa niya from other countries. And supposedly si buyer intends to buy the oil only. Pero sabi ni seller, bago kita bentahan, kailangan payagan mo muna na i-lease mo sa akin yung mga barge. Okay, na meron ka doon sa port. Okay, kaya ang idea tuloy dito, walang choice si B. No? Kung hindi payagan na sige, upahan mo na yung barges ko dahil hindi ako makakabili ng oil products na binibenta ni S. No? Nagiging abuse of dominant position na yan kasi wala ng market with regards the lease. Na dahil hindi na nakakapili dito yung buyer kung kanino niya papaupahan with the terms that can be beneficial to him. No? Dahil nga nawawala lang ang choice niya. Okay? Kaya nagiging anti-competitive na ang treatment natin. Okay? Pang-apat, okay, is dito meron tayong mga setting na ng prices. Okay? Although dito ang nagiging term nga dyan ay discriminatory pricing. Discriminatory pricing. Okay? Kasi nagkakaroon dito ng pricing differences where supposedly pare-pareho lang ang goods or services, pare-pareho lang ang customers or clients, even the terms and conditions of the sale, no, ay pare-pareho lang pero magkakaiba ang presyo. No? That will be considered abuse of dominant position. Ang idea pa rin dito, no, ay whether bumili ang customers or clients sa'yo, wala ka namang pakialam. Okay? Kaya nagiging abuse of dominant position dahil wala silang choice, no, but to abide by the prices that you fixed, okay, are the differences in the prices that you made, no, with regards to the same products and services. But take note, may mga tinatawag pa rin permissible, okay, price differential. So hindi naman at all times required, no, na pare-pareho ang presyo ng mga binibenta nating produkto. Lalo-lalo na kung bakit iba ang presyo sa isang locality ay dahil socialized pricing ang tawag, no, to benefit the less fortunate sector. Na kaya natin binibenta ng mas mura dito dahil mas mahihirap ang mga nandyan, no, kaya binababaan na lang natin yung nagiging kita, no, sa pagbebenta natin ng products and services sa area na iyon. Or kung sakali supposedly there's a difference in the cost of manufacture, even in the logistics, okay, with regards to different methods, no, or conditions or quantities that we are selling them. No, kasi kunwari, mas mura mong nabenta dito sa customer na ito dahil bulk ang binili niya. No, kaya binigyan mo siya ng trade discounts. Or kung kunwari sa locality na ito, mas mahal talaga ang mga produkto dahil mahal ang logistics. Okay, mas mahal ang kuryente, tubig, no, yung mga utilities or yung mga raw materials na kinukuha mo from that particular area ay mas mahal, no, that can spell out the differences in the prices. Allowable naman yan. Okay? Or kung sakali, no, that it will be in response only, no, to the prices that are being fixed already by your competitors. At ikaw, nag-react ka lang, no, sa presyuhan na meron siya. Okay? Or in relation to changes in the market conditions or the marketability of goods or services or its volume. No? Itong apat nga, yung tinatawag naman natin mga permissible price differentials kung saan hindi na yan, no, nagiging prohibited under the Philippine Competition Act. Na panglima, no, na meron tayo dito na abuse of dominant position ay pag nagkakaroon ng exclusivity. Okay, yan nagiging common dyan, no? Na pinagbabawalan mo ang customers or clients na bumili, okay, from your competitors, okay, or pinagbabawalan mo ang suppliers mo na magbenta sa iba, no, na dapat sa'yo lang. Okay, na supposedly nga dito, you are controlling where, to whom, and what form of goods and services may be sold. Okay, dahil nagbibigay ka ng preferential discounts or merong conditions, no, that will prohibit them from dealing with competing entities, no? Kaya nagkakaroon ng exclusivity. Okay, either from a customer or a supplier perspective. Take note na hindi rin naman ito absolute, no? Kasi ang exception pa rin natin dito ay kung magkakaroon ng permissible franchising or licensing agreements or exclusive distributorship agreements, okay lang yan. Okay, or may agreements tayo dito that will be for the purpose of protecting intellectual property rights, trade secrets, or other confidential information. Dito sa exceptions na ito, para lang ma-visualize nyo nga, no? Kasi kunwari, nag-franchise ka ng Jollibee. Okay? Siyempre, it follows na requirement sa agreement na dapat ang raw materials mo ay nanggagaling lang din kay Jollibee. No? Kaya hindi ka tuloy makabili ng chicken sa iba. No? Hindi ka makabili ng burger patty sa iba. Pero ang nagiging purpose kasi niyan will be to protect the trade secrets. No? And yung ating quality na when it comes to the products that are being made available. Kasi nakakahiya nga naman, Jollibee ka, no, ang ginawa mong franchise na sa loob may binibentang Angel's Burger, 'di ba? Medyo weird naman talaga. Kaya yan yung mga bagay na pinapayagan na natin now with regards permissible franchising or nagkakaroon ng exclusivity agreements. Okay? Now, pang-anim, supposedly na abuse of dominant position natin dito, no, ay yung may tinatawag na tied up product. Okay, yan naman ang meron dito, no? Tied up product. So ganun din, no? May buyer na supposedly gusto niyang bumili ng goods or services mo, no? But as a condition para ikaw ay magbenta sa kanya, nire-require mo siyang bumili din ng iba pang goods na binibenta mo rin na hindi naman supposedly related sa gusto niyang bilhin. Now, in one example I encountered here, kunwari si S nga, yung may dominant position dito. Now, ang intention ni buyer ay bumili lang, for example, ng photocopying machine. Or as Filipinos, ang tawag natin ay Xerox. No, kahit supposedly nga ay brand yan. Okay? Photocopying machine lang ang gusto niyang bilhin. No, pero ni-require ni seller na sabi niya, sige, bibentahan lang kita ng photocopying machine kung bibili mo yan together with the X-ray machine. No, na binibenta ko din. Dapat magkasama yan. Hindi pwedeng photocopying machine lang ibibenta ko sa'yo. Nagiging abuse of dominant position na ito. Bakit? Kasi yung X-ray machine, wala na siyang relevant market. No, hindi na natin alam kung binibili ba siya dahil supposedly ay gusto talaga ng customers or binibili lang dahil requirement para mabili yung photocopying machine. No, kaya again, it prevents, restricts, or lessen competition. It will be considered as abuse of dominant position na. Na itong nagiging situation natin na yan. Okay? Or kung sakali, na, dito na next slide. Ayan. Okay, that we are the ones fixing the price. No? Pero dito kasi from, what do you call this? From supplier perspective. Na dahil tayo yung customer na merong dominant position, ikaw ngayon ang nagdi-dictate ng presyo sa mga suppliers mo na ganitong presyo mo ibibenta sa akin. Kung hindi ko bibilhin. Na kaya idea tuloy dito sa mga suppliers, wala silang choice, no? But to sell the products at the cost that you or the price that you fix, which may no result na nagkakaroon pa sila ng net losses. Okay? And supposedly, ang mga supplier mo dito ay mga mahihirap lang, no? Kaya ang described dyan na supplier would be fisher folk, na marginalized agricultural producers or farmers for that matter, or yung mga MSMEs, no? Kasi nga maliliit lang itong mga kumpanyang ito, pag hindi sila nagbenta sa'yo, baka hindi na nila mabenta at all, no? Kaya wala na silang choice kung hindi mag-agree. Pero ang idea nga dito ay hindi na market-driven ang presyo, no? Kaya nagiging anti-competitive na ang treatment natin. Okay? Now, yung magiging letter H naman natin dito ay kung with regards the fixing of the price also. No? Pero dito na with your customers, no, with your suppliers, consumers, hindi na kailangan na marginalize pa ang kanilang status. No? Pero ito nga, yung makikita natin na supposedly ay pareho na no, doon sa ating price fixing. Okay? Ang pinagkaiba nga lang sa anti-competitive agreement ay dalawa silang involved at least, no? Pero dito mag-isa lang siya. No, na supposedly siya na ang nagsiset ng prices, no? At wala naman choice sa mga competitors, ang mga suppliers, consumers, no, but to agree, okay, with the prices that you indicate. Take note however, na nagiging exception natin dito na magiging common din mamaya sa letter I ay dahil kung ang dahilan, no, kung bakit mo you are able to sell no, the products at the prices that you fix is because you have a superior product. No, maganda talaga ang quality. Okay? Magaling ka magnegosyo. Kaya sinasabi mo may business acumen. Okay? Or meron legal rights or laws no, that provide for the exclusivity. Kaya ikaw lang talaga makakapag-dictate. No? Like for example, kung may patent ka no, with regards sa product, wala naman talaga ibang pwede mag-produce niyan. No? Hindi na yan magiging considered as an unfair price. Okay? Now, and lastly, no, sa letter I natin dito ay kung nagkakaroon nga ng output limitation. Okay? Ito na rin yung output limitation natin kanina sa ating anti-competitive agreements. Pero dito isa na nga lang no, ang gumagawa niyan na nagkakaroon ng limitation sa production natin or with regards to the development of the market or that of the technicalities na ng ating mga produkto at serbisyo, okay, consider na rin yan as abuse of dominant position. But similar to letter H that we have mentioned, if that will be only as a result no, ng superior product na meron ka, business acumen or legal rights or laws, hindi na yan considered as abuse of dominant position. Okay? Now, again, in all cases that we have mentioned, the idea there is that there will be prevention, restriction, or lessening ng competition, which again is what we are trying to prevent now when it comes to the Philippine Competition Act. But as we have mentioned at the outset, sabi natin having a dominant position by itself, okay, is not considered prohibited in character. Now, what is prohibited will be to abuse the dominant position na meron ka. At any rate, the same no, defense can be available that we found in the anti-competitive agreements kung ultimately ay makikinabang din naman ang ating mga customers or consumers, hindi na yan abuse of dominant position. No, yun nga yung may improvement okay, in the production and technical or the production or distribution of the goods, okay, or in the promotion of technical and economic progress with a fair share of the benefits ng ating mga consumers, hindi na yan abuse of dominant position. At any rate, na the law allows the commission here broader powers, no, in order to be a regulator when it comes, no, to promoting fair competition or more competition in the relevant market. Okay? And lastly, na ay yung ating prohibited merger acquisition nga na nagiging anti-competitive ang prohibited act natin dito. No? But when it comes to mergers or acquisition, it will be relevant muna na i-discuss natin ano ang definition, no, kapag sinabing merger or acquisition. So when it comes to a merger, no, meron two or more entities that will join together, okay? That will form either a new entity or there's one of them that will be surviving. Now, at the outset, I wanted to emphasize this kasi when you go to your corporation law, okay, dinidistinguish pa natin yung merger na merong A and B or A plus B equals A, okay, na may surviving, no? Pero sa consolidation, A plus B equals C, no? Na may consolidated corp na bago. But when it comes to the term merger, as it is used, okay, in the Philippine Competition Act, it will cover both. No, kasali pareho. Okay? Kaya kahit yung consolidation covered din yan nung term na merger natin. Okay? When it comes to acquisition naman, no, dito supposedly either securities, okay, ang binibili or yung assets. No, kaya yan from a practice perspective, ang tawag ay asset purchase agreement or share purchase agreement. No, na supposedly nga, ang nagiging purpose niyan will be to buy. Okay, to buy the purchases or the shares of another entity. No? Pero ang requirement dito ay dapat nagkakaroon ng control. Pero makikita mo dito, hindi na nagmamatter dyan, no, kung gaano karami ang parties in either case. No? Pwedeng yung acquirer, isa lang. No? Yung acquiree, isa lang. Dalawa, yung acquirer, isa lang ang acquiree. Isa lang ang acquiree, dalawa ang acquirer. It wouldn't matter. No? Basta nga, may purchase ng shares, may purchase ng assets that will be resulting in obtaining control. Ang catch lang dito, the definition of control under the Philippine Competition Act is subjective. No? Basta magkakaroon ka daw ng substantial influence to direct the actions or decisions of the entity, control na. No? Hindi katulad sa ibang batas, katulad sa tax code. No, dinidefine yung term na control na at least 51%. Kaya dito, kahit 30 lang yan, kahit 20 lang yan, pwede nang sabihin na may control. No, basta you will be able to influence or direct, no, the actions of the entity. Okay? Kaya medyo subjective lang ang concept natin dito ng control. And isa lang naman ang prohibited. No? At maririnig nga natin ulit yung tatlo dito, basta may preventing, okay, restricting, and lessening competition, prohibited na, no, ang merger acquisition natin. At any rate, no, to determine kung magkakaroon ba talaga ng significant impact to competition or not, the Commission is empowered under the law to review, okay, yung mga agreements natin for mergers and acquisition. At dyan papasok yung magiging pang-apat na magiging prohibited act na may penalty under the law, yung tinatawag nating failure to notify. No? Kapag covered ka ng tinatawag na compulsory notification, no? Na dapat i-inform mo si Philippine Competition Commission that you entered into a merger or acquisition. But we will discuss the parameters later on. Now again, isa lang ang prohibited merger acquisition natin, basta nga meron ditong preventing, restricting, or lessening competition. It will be considered a prohibited, okay, merger or acquisition na. Okay? Nevertheless, dito hindi na natin kino-cover ng prohibition kung sakali, no, na supposedly makikinabang pa rin naman ang market, no, when it comes to the merger acquisition that you will be entering into, no, na kahit nawawala or nababawasan ang competition sa market, makikinabang din naman ultimately, no, kasi ito siguro ang nai-imagine nyo ay yung na-acquire ng Grab ang Uber. No, it was considered a prohibited merger or acquisition. Pero hypothetically, no, kung nag-result sana yan na mas mababa na ang presyo, no, dahil mas marami na ang nagiging tawag ito, ang mga available na cars, no, na pwede mabook, kaya isang app na lang ang gagamitin, it would have been allowable. Okay? Pero kaya yan, nagkaroon din ng penalties talaga yung Grab, no, with regards acquiring Uber. Or kung dati na yan, no, kasi ang idea din natin dito, okay, prospective din ng application, no, ng ating Philippine Competition Act. At any rate, okay, dito, kapag wala naman ng choice, no, but to enter the merger acquisition dahil may financial failure na pinahinaharap, no, yung ating entity that will be acquired, and the least anti-competitive arrangement that they can enter into will be the merger acquisition, papayagan na yan. Now, ultimately, ang idea pa rin kasi dito ay hindi naman natin pipilitin or pagbabawalan ang mga entities or enter mergers and acquisition just because, no, it can be considered anti-competitive. Ultimately, it's still management prerogative na kung taglugin na pala ang kumpanyang ito, hindi naman ako pwedeng pilitin talaga na tuloy-tuloy lang, no, ang operation ko just to say na mayroong competition in the market, di ba? Kasi if you want to prevent further losses, you can just sell the company. Okay? Yun nga lang, it has to be proven that that is the least anti-competitive arrangement para walang penalty for the prohibited mergers and acquisition. And as we have mentioned earlier, prospective, no, ang application natin ng Philippine Competition Act. Kaya if the merger or the acquisition was already entered into prior to the effectivity of the law, hindi na yan magiging prohibited pa, no? Dahil dati nang pinasok. Okay, bago pa nagkaroon ng Philippine Competition Act. And supposedly, again, ay dapat may control, no? Kaya kung ang purpose mo lang why you are acquiring the shares, no, or acquiring the other company will be to as a mere investment. Okay, dahil yung returns lang on the dividends, on the appreciation of the value of the shares, yan lang ang ini-expect mo, no? But you will not be exercising the right to vote, okay, or to control the entity, hindi na rin yan covered. Okay? Kasi hindi ka naman nakasali sa pag-direct, no, ng management and control with regards the acquired entity. Okay? Now, the burden of proof with regards to exceptions, no, that we have discussed. Okay? Yun nga supposedly least competitive yan. Dati nang pinasok yan or solely for investment. Kaya ang iyong pinasok will be with the person invoking the exception. No? Kasi ikaw ang nag-invoke, di ikaw dapat na magpapatunay, no, na talagang pasok ka. Okay? With regards that of our exempt, no, from the prohibited mergers and acquisition. Okay? Now, supposedly, if you obtain a favorable ruling, ano ibig sabihin na favorable? Pinapayagan ng Philippine Competition Commission, no, that they concluded ultimately that it is not prohibited. No? In that case, it can no longer be challenged under the Philippine Competition Act. Okay? Unless you can be able to prove fraud or false material information na binigay kay Philippine Competition Commission. No? Kasi kung mali naman pala ang information that was the basis of the ruling, in that case, you can still challenge that. No? But otherwise, we give credence, okay, to the decision of the Philippine Competition Commission because they are supposedly a specialized agency, no, that will be the one to review the effects of the merger and the acquisition. Okay? Ito na nga yung sinasabi natin compulsory notification, no, na supposedly, if you enter into a merger acquisition where the value of the transaction will exceed 1 billion pesos, it will be mandatory to notify the Philippine Competition Commission. Okay? Within a third, and supposedly, no, kahit walang deadline na binigay dito, you are not allowed to implement, okay, the agreement that you entered into within a 30-day period from the time you notified the commission. Kaya kung nag-merger acquisition kayo pero hindi mo na-notify, hindi pa tumatakbo ang 30 days. No? Kasi the 30 days will be counted from the time the notification was given to the Philippine Competition Commission. Now, other criteria can be fixed by the commission, no, in order to determine kung sino yung mako-cover ng compulsory notification natin. No? At dito, para lang magkaroon kayo ng summary kasi nag-iba-iba na yan over the years. No? Again, sa codal provision natin, no, and ito pa rin iingatan nyo kasi kadalasan nga sa codal natin ay yun pa rin ang kinaka-copy-paste, no, pagdating sa board exam. Kaya you can still, no, at least retain the exceeding 1 billion pesos. Okay? Pero dito ang basis nga lang natin ay yung tinatawag na size of transaction. Okay? Yan lang ang magiging basihan or let's call it SOT. Now, where the amount supposedly that will trigger, okay, our compulsory notification requirement will be exceeding 1 billion pesos. Okay? But eventually, in the year 2001, no, nagkaroon dito ng Memorandum Circular 18-001 na dalawa na. No? Merong SOT na size of transaction, tapos meron pang size of party. Okay, so either of the parties, now the one being acquired or the one acquiring, ang magiging basis yan. Now, where supposedly the amount, okay, with regards to size of party will be exceeding 5 billion, okay, and doon sa ating size of transaction na exceeding 2 billion na. At ito, naging effective yan March 1. Okay, actually, karamihan, no? 3 out of the 4 ay March 1. Kaya ang effectivity. Okay, so March 1, 2018, nung tinaas na, no, at naging dalawa na nga ang criteria natin for compulsory notification. Now, in 2019, nagkaroon ng Philippine Competition Commission Advisory. Okay, ang ginamit nila dito, no, I think that was 001, yes. 2019-001. Now, na size of party, size of transaction din, ang nagiging basis dito. No? Pero dito, ginawa ng more than 5.6 billion. Okay, at yung size of transaction dito ay 2.4 billion na. No, dahil nga yan ay 2019 ang date, no? Pero March 1, 2020 ang naging effectivity. Okay, ng requirement na yan. But, no, dahil nagkaroon ng pandemic, nagkaroon tayo dito ng BARO Act, kung tawagin, or the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, kung saan sa batas, ginawa na lang siyang size of transaction lang, okay, at kapag exceeding 50 billion only. No, ito lang medyo kakaiba, ang effectivity date niya ay September. Okay, 15-20-20. No? Because this is during the pandemic itself and we wanted to increase economic activities kaya tinaasan yung requirement for compulsory notification para ma-encourage, no, yung mga mergers and acquisitions, lalong-lalo na kay sa mga entities na magsasara dahil nga taglugi, no, during the pandemic. And then in 2023, which is the latest that we have now, nagkaroon ng Memorandum Circular number 4, 2023. Na kung saan size of party and size of transaction na ulit. Okay, ang nagiging basis at exceeding 7 billion. Okay, and with regards to size of transaction, 2.9. Okay, billion. And this became effective March 1, okay, 2023. No? So yan ang magiging table natin dyan, no? Para may reference lang kayo in case na may date na ibibigay. But again, it's still prudent for you to remember the exceeding 1 billion considering na yan kasi ang laman nga ng ating codal provision. No? Ang lagi naman natin sinasabi, the current rules, kung nasa choices, yun ang susundin natin. Pero kung wala sa choices, it's safe to answer the codal provision. No? Considering nga na ang tendency is to copy-paste, no? And ang natural tendency din ay baka hindi updated. No, Sibo. Pero ito nga, para meron na kayo isang reference. No? Kasi pa-iba-iba nga no, ang nagiging requirements na. So hopefully you can use this as reference for that. Okay? Now, dalawa ang magiging epekto kapag hindi ka nag-notify when there is compulsory notification. Una, as you can, the agreement will be considered void. No? And there will be no exception to the rule. Okay? Basta covered yan ng compulsory notification pero hindi ka nagbigay ng copy ng agreement and the supporting documents with the commission or hindi ka nag-notify for that matter, in that case, void na. No? Ang nagiging nature ng agreement natin. And you can be subjected to an administrative fine ranging from 1 to 5% of the value of the transaction. Okay? Now, supposedly, with regards the period, now again, supposedly 30 days, okay, will be the general rule. Now, when it comes to the period that can be for the review of the merger and the acquisition. Okay? Pero kung nag-require ng additional information, it can be extended, but the maximum okay, extension will be 60 days. No? Kaya nga dito, 30 plus 60 equals 90 will be what you will remember. No? Dahil maximum na ito ang general rule, ito yung nagiging additional period na meron tayo. Kung sakali lang na mag-require nga ng further information. No? Bakit nagmamatter? Kasi supposedly, pag nag-expire na yung 30 or yung 90-day period natin dito, it will be deemed approved na. Pag nagkaroon ng inaction, no, on the part of our Philippine Competition Commission, deemed approved ang magiging treatment natin. No? Kaya importante to remember the periods kasi hindi mo na kailangan maghintay pa ng favorable ruling. It will be as if it is approved already by the Philippine Competition Commission. Nevertheless, everything that you will be submitting, the notice, the documents, information regarding the merger acquisition will be kept confidential by the Philippine Competition Commission. Hindi yan pwedeng i-disclose except kung papayagan ng mismong parties, no, the notifying entity allowed kay the disclosure or it